My mum came from Uganda.
Okay.
It was before Idi Amin had thrown everyone out from Uganda. And my dad had come from Pakistan. So my dad had come here when he was about 17 or 18 years old. And I've got, lots of stories from him. He's passed away now. May Allah bless his soul. But, he told me he came to this country, didn't speak a word of English, just please, thank you. That was about it. Accepted racism. He accepted the fact that he was a different color, he was a different creed, and that he would be a third class citizen. But that's because he came here to achieve something.
Yep.
Which was to earn for his family, which means he didn't really care about looking at Big Ben, walking on Tower Bridge, or anything else that people would come here for. It was wake up in the morning, go to work, come back and save as much money as you can. So anyway, I was born in 1969, towards the end, and grew up I was born actually, funny enough, I had a shop in the 90s on the same road that I was born on.
Okay.
Glen Eagle Road. But anyway, so obviously don't remember too much of my childhood.
Sure.
But my dad, we moved to Norbury. I was probably about 3 or 4 years old, and my dad had started his first business then. And alhamdulillah, was doing well. They did really well. Some amazing stories. It's a pity that our old elders aren't here, because if you heard some of their stories,
I'm sure.
And I'll just kind of touch on something from my dad. In 1973, he was married. My mamu, which is my mum's brother, he was also married. They had something called African print, so they used to make this little kind of hippie dress. The hippies took to it, and it was called kitenge. Kitenge.
Is that a Swahili word?
Swahili word, I think, yeah.
Okay.
And so they used to make these dresses and, just sell it to local shops to sell.
Yeah.
Anyway, my dad's gone to central London one day. The sort of person my dad was, he didn't really have any shame. And he's walked into CNA and he said to the girl behind the counter, which, we would never do. It's the highest level of unprofessionalism. But he said, I want to see the guy who buys stuff.
Okay.
And she's probably cracked up laughing at
Sure.
him. But anyway, I don't know what the conversation was. Somehow my dad's got in front of CNA's purchasing director, speaking much better English now, but still with an accent, obviously.
Sure.
He goes, I got this. And the guy looked at it. And my dad said to me, he looked at it and his eyes just opened up wide. And he gave me, I can't remember how many, he said, I want this many pieces. And he goes, I came out and I looked for a phone box. Obviously, forget mobile phones. Because I looked for a phone box, put in some money, and I rang home. And your mum picked up the phone. And I said, listen, I've got this order. Where are we going to buy the material from? Because we didn't have the money for the material.
They're making it at home themselves?
Yeah, they were making it at home. So anyway, he goes to me, I came home. There was a friend of ours who we knew who said, I'll lend you the money for the material. He goes, that CNA had ordered 25,000 pieces.
Wow.
He goes, we used to make 10 a day.
10 a day.
So he goes, we then went round and look, this is innovation and this is intelligence. Lots of Asian people, wives are not doing anything. So my dad went, gave him the cut, got the material, went to he said to my mum, go call every woman. We'll give you this much money, make this dress. He goes, and that's how we fulfilled the order.
Amazing.
He goes, and obviously we made money, then we were able to establish ourselves, and next thing I had shops at Carnaby Street. But it just shows how much desire they had, and they just wanted to get somewhere in life, do you understand? And alhamdulillah, they did it. And I think a lot of our skills come from listening to their stories. Even in our subliminal conscience, we may not clearly remember things, but when we were 5 or 6 years old, we may have seen our parents doing stuff.
Right? You hear them speak.
And it's become part of your character and your nature, right? Because that's how you're nurtured when you're brought up. So anyway, first things I remember, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, Carnaby Street. My dad used to have a shop there. We used to play football. It's a very famous street, central London. Me and my brother used to play football with cans on the street with some other boys. And then, we used to play with a football towards the end of the day. I remember my dad beating a certain guy up who used to wee outside our shop all the time, who then later on, I remember he was on television. And my dad said, what is this idiot doing on television? In his Pakistani accent, what is this idiot doing on TV? I said, Dad, who's that? He goes, that's the guy who used to do wee-wee outside my shop. It was Boy George.
Boy George.
Yeah, Boy George.
Okay.
So my dad, and he goes, I beat this guy up. I threw him across the street, yeah. My dad was quite a aggressive human being. People who know him know he was quite feisty, and he loved a little bit of
I think they had to, all that generation, especially from East Africa, Pakistan, when they came over, you had to have a bit of...
I think the East Africans were very mellow, calm people. Generally speaking, you look at my Koji community, they would avoid confrontation at every possible level. But the Pakistani Punjabi community, they're warriors.
That Pakistani Punjabi community that came via East Africa. So like
They-
the non-Khoja East Africans.
Yeah, they were
They're a
still.
different gravy.
It's in their blood.
Yeah.
It's in their blood. I mean, even though I've been brought up very differently, I'm, nurtured in a different way. If the devil comes out in me, it's not nice to see. Let's put it that way. I can be.
You still got that inside.
Yeah, it's in your blood, isn't it? It's just something that you have. There's a switch turns, and you see red, and you're uncontrollable. So and that's why people will refer to you sometimes, and they'll say, "Oh, yeah, don't mess with Mam's uncle. He's a nutter." That word comes from that switch, right? And that's in us. Whereas I think my uncle would never do something like that. My uncle could get angry, but he would never get violent.
Okay.
But I think it's very different how culturally we're probably brought up, what our cultures say, the way we deal with things. Yeah, everyone knows my dad was first. So, these are the sort of memories I have from a young age.
So I guess it's fair to say entrepreneurism was within your household from a very
my mum was brilliant. I mean, I remember in the late 70s, my dad had concessions in all the Dorothy Perkins and CNAs that he'd gone to another level. And I mean, today we have Sage auto entry computers and I don't know what, right? Even Excel.
Yeah.
Right. My mum used to keep a record of all the stock in each book. So she had like 100 books.
Yeah.
And they used to get these tags with, you probably won't remember, but some of the older lot will. So the old barcode was a piece of like a tag with like 15 holes or 17 holes, and that's how it used to work. It was very old school, and people can look it up. If you type in old barcode system, you'll see it and realize. My mum used to keep the accountability record of stock in 100 concessions through books and lines, and you've probably seen these books in the account shops, and they're very historic now.
I remember the books that very early memory, but we used to have a bank account. And it was in a book, right?
So that was that was like a building society.
Like, you take a book to the bank and they write your balance on it.
Yeah,
and if you want
correct.
to withdraw,
And if
they
you withdraw,
cross
yeah,
it
they
and
type
then use
it
the
in.
balance.
So, but my mum used to draw lines and say this, and each page had a model number on it, and then she'd get the tags in, and then she'd sort out the tags that this was from Poolborough. And I know places in England people probably never heard of because of that memory. Like, so for example, there's a place called Poole, Poole.
Yeah.
And I only know that because I was sitting the books and the stuff. And my mum used to say, okay, this has gone from here. And she would put everything in, into the book. And that's how she used to keep her accountability of stock. And that's like, if you ask me to do that, I can't do it.
You couldn't.
No way. But they were just super sharp, super smart. Yeah. And they had adapted to that, right? And I think all those things, again, nurture us in that way. I'm very good mathematically. And I think that comes from my mum and that sort of thing. So, and you know what? When you're growing up in a family like that, your dad will take you to the warehouse on a Saturday.
You spend most of your time there, right?
And you and your brother think you're going to play football. And your dad will, put all of this in plastic bags, right? And you're upset, you've gone there and this, that, the other. But you're sort of brought up to understand.
It's an education. It's an early education.
Yeah, and you're brought to understand not everything's play. Not everything's about, I don't have to do anything. You're supposed to share the burden with your family. Doesn't matter what age you are. We go to India, Pakistan, or Africa, you'll see 8-year-olds working. Now, no one's saying slave labor here.
Of course.
We're talking about educational purpose. They, unfortunately, are in a different situation. Our parents probably worked at that age.
Yeah.
And that's why they came to this country with absolutely nothing. Look, I say to my kids, I struggled in life, blah, 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 blah. And I mentioned this to you earlier. But I don't even think it's 1% of what my parents did. My dad came here, worked in a factory, didn't speak a word of English, accepted racism at the highest possible level in those days, got married, had kids, somehow made money, somehow bought a house, somehow started a business. And, even when my dad passed away 5 years ago, his English wasn't perfect. I mean, I used to take him to Liverpool and he'd turn around and say to me, kya kehna? He couldn't understand it, you know what I mean? So, he'd say, well, what's this guy saying? So it wasn't like, even at that age, his English was, but they went through all of this, set up a business, brought up their kids, nurtured us, kept us on the straight and narrow,
Kept you out of prison, kept you alive,
kept us out of gangs, kept us out of prison, made sure we knew the difference between right and wrong.
Your faith was important.
Pushed us into religion. Yeah. They established community centers, mosques.
It's insane when you think about it.
When you think what they went through and what they did, and we take all of that for granted because we don't even remember them. Let's be honest, right? I mean, to be honest with you, I grew up in a mosque called Idara Jafariya. You know,
Was that South London?
South London, Tooting.
Yeah.
It's on Church Lane, and it used to be a church.
Used to be a church.
Yeah. And it was the first mosque in South London, and one of the first mosques as well. 74 is a very long time ago. A lot of the mosques you see nowadays were all established in the 80s and 90s. High area of racism. They had to fight a lot of racism. I told you the sort of stuff they went through, used to get bricks through the windows, but it didn't deter them, right? They were ready to fight. We'd be like, let's sell the mosque and go somewhere else. And then they were like, no, this is our mosque. No one's going to attack our mosque. And, you know, my dad and a group of other people from Idara, God bless their soul, they stood there and they took racism on. They jumped on the bikes, got the guys off the bikes and beat the living daylights out of them. Those guys will never come back. You go to Tooting today. Tooting is an area of mixed cultures, you know, and there's so many curry houses, there's chaiwalas, there's, you know, all these chai shops, paratha shops, everything.
Tooting High Street.
Yeah, and there's even, you know, a few patty shops, Afro-Caribbean food. It's very mixed. It's beautiful. Yeah. But that was a National Front stronghold. And I think Idara Jafaria, as a mosque in 1974, was what started it changing. People don't know that, right? People think, oh, yeah, this mosque has been here. It's an Asian area. Of course there's a mosque here. But wait, when that mosque opened, this was a National Front stronghold. It wasn't just white people who were racist, didn't like Asians. It was a stronghold for an organization that were bigots.
And disliked you.
And totally, and they didn't want you there. So, in the end of the day, they fought all of this. They established things. So, yeah, that's basically my journey up until I was about 4 or 5 years old. So, I went to a school called St. Michael's.
Okay. Where was that?
In Croydon.
Okay.
It's now a mosque, funny enough. But was sent to this private school in Croydon, St. James's Road. In the playground, lad called Paul. No one understands what he's saying because he was a Scouser.
Okay.
So no one was playing with him. Muslim background, Asian cultural background. You naturally have a level of mercy towards people. Yeah. And I thought no one's playing with this guy. So I went up to him. What's your name? And he goes, my name's Paul. And I said, sorry, this is Paul. I said, all right, Paul, how you doing? All right. So why is no one playing with you? And he goes, no one understands what I'm saying. Now, anyone who knows Scousers,
it's quite difficult.
It's quite difficult. And, you know, for someone from London, and if a kid's been brought up in Liverpool, Merseyside especially, he's got quite a strong accent. Anyway, they moved to London because his elder brother was getting in some sort of trouble there. Parents decided to move here. He became a really good friend of mine.
Okay.
And we became best friends at school. And so I used to come home trying to speak like him as well, copying the Scouse accent from a young age.
Give us an attempt.
Oh, well. You turn around and say, you're right, lad, how you doing? You're boss, man. What I did was, basically, his granddad called him and said he wanted to come for half term. And obviously, being a 4 or 5 year old kid, 5.5, he was like, I ain't going. And his dad, no, you have to go. You know, it's your granddad. And he goes, I'm not going, Dad. He goes, there must be something. He goes, yeah, Mamz comes with me. My name is Mamz, so he used to call me Mamz.
Yeah.
And so his dad has come around to my house and said to my dad, Paul wants to go.
At 5 years old?
Yeah, 5 years old. Paul's going to Liverpool and he wants Mamz to come with him.
To go with him.
And my dad's like, are you out your head?
I can just imagine this. Like.
Yeah, it's Liverpool. Like, there's no Asians in Liverpool. Yeah. Like, you know. And he goes, no, his neighbor's a Pakistani. So he's called my dad. My dad's had a good conversation and they've figured out they come from the same block H in Sargodha or whatever.
No way.
And they said he's a really nice guy and we'll cook the food for him, halal food. And then eventually my dad said, yeah, go. Paul's grandfather, God bless his soul, we've gone there on a Friday night. His dad's dropped us off. We've gone there. Woke up in the morning. He goes, come on, lads, the game. I have no idea what he's talking about. I remember it very vaguely. I was very young. Anyways, took us to this place. Thousands of people everywhere. Red and white. Beatles songs. She loves you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And all that sort of stuff. Yellow submarine and all this. And how Anfield was in those days is kids just used to walk in.
Okay.
And they just push you to the front. Everyone just lift you over the top. I can't even remember the goals. Obviously, I'll go on the internet and see the scoreline, but we played Stoke and yeah, it was just madness, like craziness.
That's where the Liverpool...
I just fell in love with this silly game of 20, as my mum says, 22 people running after a ball. And so that was my love for Liverpool. He bought me a wooden ratchet. Still got the red and white flag he bought me. I still got the programme. Then Wednesday was a European game. I think we won, we just kept scoring. I can't remember. Stom and Scrat. I can't remember the name of the team properly. But yeah, we kept scoring. And all we knew is that we had to cheer when we scored.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we were supposed to come back on the Friday. Liverpool had an FA Cup game. I rang up my dad. Paul rang up his dad. And we said, no, we want to stay. Yeah, please, we're having so much fun. We were given the permission, went to the Arsenal game. I know we lost that because everyone was sad. And then, came back to London, and that was it. I was hooked on Liverpool Football Club, and it became part of my journey in life. It's a passion that I have. It gives me happiness when I'm sad. When I'm upset, I will go and watch something to do with the football club to lighten my mood or make me happy again, or see the positive sides on life. And it does. It elates me. And it's...
So Paul basically is the reason for a lot of your joy and a lot of your unhappiness.
Absolutely.
Going through life.
Yeah. And then we used to go up all the holidays whenever we could, want to watch Liverpool. And then we, when we got to a certain age, 9, 10, we'd try and get away tickets and go to games here while we're in London. Yeah. And then, once we got to 15, 16, there was me. Paul had gone somewhere else, and I completely lost touch.
Still in touch with him?
No, I haven't seen him.
If you're watching this,
I haven't seen him for 44 years probably.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot. When we left primary school, I went secondary school, he went his way. I think they moved to Cheshire and every time, funny enough, every time I go to Anfield, I just have a quick look around thinking, but then I had a couple of friends in school who supported Liverpool, and then we were 14, 15.
Because you always get accused, right? If you're a Liverpool fan, you don't live in Liverpool. So, all Liverpool fans come from London or come from Birmingham or come from other cities.
Look, I think, it's really odd, but for people who don't understand football, when you watch your first football team, that could be a guy in Senegal, and he could be watching Man United, God save his soul, Arsenal or Chelsea, and that's the first club he's seen, right?
Yeah.
And they score a goal and gets happy.
Yeah.
And he starts supporting that team because that's his relation to football. And a lot of people have come into football by watching a game and enjoying the game, and also fell in love with that team, and that's their exposure. Some people have loved a personality, like Thierry Henry. A lot of people probably support Arsenal because of Henry.
Sure.
A lot of people support Man United because of Ronaldo.
Sure.
But obviously he didn't help them in their life. Yeah, well, he didn't help them in their life because all their children will probably go through a period of child abuse, because they're just going to grow up very, very sad. That is really bad. So, but it's fun. It's fascinating. It's lovely being a Liverpool fan, watching them go through this. And it's lovely to be able to say stuff on, we have WhatsApp now, on WhatsApp groups, to turn around and say stuff like, I hope you don't get relegated because, I missed the Man United. Yeah, I missed the Liverpool Man United game. But, that's just...
You're finishing, 17, 16?
That's just having a dig, isn't it? That's just saying, I hope you do get relegated.
I knew Liverpool was going to come in. I'll save Liverpool for later, but I knew it was going to happen.
Liverpool come in every conversation. 2005.
I remember when you told me you got half the stadium to start doing Martin, bro.
Yeah, Man United 3-0. Neil Ruddock banged in a header, and we gone ballistic behind the Kop. We were a terrible football team, yeah? We were 3-0 down in 15 minutes at Anfield against Man United. And we were all like, shit, we better not lose 7-0, right? Or 10-0. And then Nigel Clough scored, then he scored, and then we threw the kitchen sink towards the Kop. I was in the Kop. Neil Ruddock, he's like done a Superman jump. He's come flying, headed the ball, banging the back of the net with like 7 minutes to go. And the Kop has gone mental. And I started hitting myself. And the guy next to me goes, fucking passion that. And he started doing that, and his mates, and the whole of the Kop was going, yeah, so we used to go up to games all the time, and this was my childhood revolved around football. Liverpool. I was a really good central defender.
Okay.
But obviously I wasn't tall enough.
I'm going to say, yeah.
Yeah, so they tried to turn me into a right winger. The right back, it didn't work. I had a good ability to read on the ball, but height and everything else. And but my brother wasn't. My brother was brilliant. My brother, and there was a player called Sean Holden with him, I think it was. They used to come on against other teams for 25 minutes and the score would be 8-0. It was like Maradona and Messi playing together. They were unbelievable at schools level. He was so good. People used to call him Little Maradona at that time.
Did you do anything with it? Did he?
No, my dad wouldn't let him. Look, you got to understand, when we were in the 80s, early 80s, we're talking 80, 81, watching football or going to football matches was associated with absolute hooliganism and racism.
Yeah, predominantly. That you would have been amongst the only brown faces in the audience at the time, were there many?
Yeah, I mean, well, listen,
stadium.
There's a steward called Kenny at Anfield, and when I saw him about 3 years ago, I said, Kenny, do you remember me? And he goes, you on the Kop. Because you can't say that. You can't say that. No. But that's how they used to refer to me back in the day, because it was acceptable. It's not acceptable anymore, but we used to accept it. We never used to stand up to it. We used to refer to ourselves as that, to be honest with you, because it was so pushed into us that you have to accept this form of racism. And I'm sure people from other cultures, especially black people, have been through that.
Of course.
Probably a lot worse as well. People probably refer to them with derogatory words like the darkie or whatever, you know. I know John Barnes very well. And I mean, you know, if you want to know racism in football, I think what he told me kind of broke my heart. John Barnes played for England against Brazil. England were 2-0 down. John Barnes came on, and people used to refer to him as the Brazilian who played for Liverpool. He came on, unbelievable, down left wing, turned in, scored a goal, 2-1. England lost 2-1. He was on a plane with fans, and they were singing we lost 2-0 because they did not want to acknowledge a person of colour scored a goal for England.
That's crazy.
Because it wasn't, that was what John Barnes went through, and he went through a lot. But, you know, and I mean, there's a very famous photo of him kicking a banana, but that wasn't one banana that was thrown at him. He used to get it all the time.
Of course.
Yeah, it was just, that was captured on picture, and it's a great picture because that was their kick out racism stems from that. But
it was clearly a tough place to grow up. You found this passion in Liverpool.
Yeah.
You found something to, I guess, encourage your integration with others, right? Because it actually brings people together. You have people of all colours, all cultures, all backgrounds on the cop.
Look, Liverpool as a city is probably one of the most welcoming cities. I'm not saying it doesn't have racism. I'm not saying it didn't have racism, but it was a lot lower than London.
Okay.
We grew up in Streatham. We used to get chased by skinheads all the time, even when we were little kids. As far as they were concerned, you know, you were scum, you were and they had to beat up. And it didn't matter that you were 8 years old. They had no morals. I mean, it's just disgusting. And, you know, I'm actually watching a program on Netflix now, and it's called Walking. It's a little five episodes. And in there, the main character is a guy who used to be a racist, who's fighting against racism heavily. And he has certain episodes where he sleeps and he wakes up and he thinks, I can't believe I was one of them. He's crying, he's hating himself. So I'm sure a lot of people that did probably run after us probably regret what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, they saw that look, we're the same. We breathe, we all have a nose. You know? We have eyes, we have ears, right? We all have mercy within us. It's just at what level it is. And our childhood, our upbringing, what we're taught.
All shapes that, right?
All shapes that. So we may see some people as merciless, and we may see some people as really merciful. But we've all got the ability to be really merciful. But it's kind of, you know, how we are and how we see things, whether we'll adapt that or not. So if you're, I don't know, Britain First right now, and some guys come to you and said something very stupid to you, like, let's just say your friend's dad or your auntie or somebody passed away of cancer.
Yeah.
And some guy sits with you and say, you know, they've got a cure for cancer, but you know, the Jews, they won't release it, right? Because they want to make more money. And if that's fed into your head, which is absolute rubbish,
you're going to develop some sort of animosity towards...
You're going to be very anti-Semitic, aren't you? You're going to hate Jews, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to think, because of them, my auntie died.
Yeah.
And then that breeds in you, and then you become a bigot, right? So in Islam, we're taught everyone is equal. You know, there is no difference between creed, color. There's no difference between religion, in the sense that Imam Ali alayhi salam says one of the most beautiful sayings: if you're not my brother in religion, you're my equal
in humanity.
You're not lower than me. Yeah. You're not somebody. You're my equal in humanity. That's Ali ibn Abu Talib, right? Now, his character, you know, we can't even go there, right? We are nobodies compared to that. And he's saying that. So in Islam, we're taught that people are equal. You know, we can't hate a Christian because he's a Christian.
Sure.
And we can't hate a person of color because he's from Jamaica or from some country in Africa, or, you know, he's Samoan, whatever. That does not exist. That's cultural.
Yeah.
It's not religion.
Yeah.
Now, if you're taught up in the right way, we don't have these things.
No.
So, but you can understand how some of these people are. So we grew up in a period like that.
Tough, man. It sounds like it was a big challenge.
Yeah. So my dad had kind of brought us up to accept racism, but not to accept it getting our head kicked in. Really weird.
Yeah.
So he was like,
that was a level. Okay, let them get away with whatever.
No. He was like, okay, this isn't our country. But I was born here. It is my country.
Yeah.
Right now.
You can see the difference, right? For them, they came into a country.
So he was like, yeah, accept it. It's not our country.
It's almost part of the culture where we're very apologetic and very grateful to be here. Thank you for giving us a roof over our head and that. But when you're born here, it's your country.
100%. And at the same time, my dad was like, okay, it's not our country. If they call you Paki, it's fine. But if they come to hit you, don't let them.
Defend yourself.
Defend yourself. So me and my brother like, 8 and 9-year-olds standing up to 17-year-old kids. Obviously, we're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
There was a lot of British people who would see that and come running and say, what are you doing? They're kids, leave them alone. And find it very abhorrent at what these people were doing. So I'm not, I mean, there was a very small minority, and it's just like Islamic terrorism, right? You hear people saying, oh, you got recently this Liverpool incident. All these right-wing guys wanted it to be a Muslim. I think they were more upset about it not being a Muslim than they were about people getting hurt.
Being Muslim.
Our concerns were, I hope no one's died. I hope no kids severely injured. Yeah. And I went to my prayer room and I prayed to God, my Allah. I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please don't let any of my fellow supporters or anyone who was just there, any innocent person, be hurt from this incident. And please, God, don't let it be a Muslim, because it will put us so far back. Alhamdulillah, I wish it never happened, but alhamdulillah it did. It wasn't a Muslim, but the far right were trying to prove it was a Muslim. They were just going at it. There was a person who turned around and said, nah, Muslims are all terrorists. And I commented, I said, there's about 2 billion of us. I said, the world wouldn't last 15 minutes if we were all terrorists.
A terrorist.
So you're an idiot. They're psychos. The same way you have a guy run into a school in America and just shoot loads of kids. He's a psycho. The difference is, within your society, there's not a leader who's using your religion as the forefront. There is in Russia, there is in Poland. You do have Christian far-right groups. And they haven't got to that stage. And God forbid they do, because then we'll have another bunch of psychos on the street. Anyway, so, going back to where I was, we grew up in this, where we had to accept racism.
Sure. So you got to like 17, 18.
Yeah. And that's when we were like, that was when we
were up in this tough time.
Yeah, we ain't accepting racism no more.
You fought racism. You overcame it. Yeah. You got yourself an education.
Yeah.
You then stepped into the business world immediately.
So I'll tell you, I went through, my dad lost a lot of his money. He made some bad decisions. It caused a lot of stress on the family. My parents got divorced. I was only 11. We went and stayed here and there. Me, my mum and my brother stayed in temporary housing, then got a council flat in the middle of a lot of racist people, but we had to deal with it. It was life. Still had football as a passion. Used to save all my money to go and watch Liverpool. It was my out.
Yeah.
To a person who's well off, it might be going out to eat. To somebody else, it might be going for a walk. To a person who's passionate about sport,
but everyone's allowed to have a hobby. Everyone's allowed to.
Yeah. To me,
if you don't drink alcohol, if you don't go out partying, it's your.
It is, for me. It was my 2 hours of coming out of reality. It was my 2 hours standing with loads of different people, focused on one thing, and everything else in the world did not matter anymore. For those 2 hours, it was out, and it's quite weird because it resonates a bit with our religion as well. Because when I go to Kazmia in Baghdad, I can go into the shrine of Imam Musa al-Kazim al-Islam, and I find nothing but tranquility. I've gone there for Fajr Salah, and I've just started reading something, writing a bit of poetry, this, that, the other, and then you hear the azan, and you're like your mind tells you, oh, why is the azan on? And it's on. You don't even realize. You'll be sitting there for like 9 hours, 8 hours, and you forget about everything, right? So it's that kind of, I'm not relating it to that, don't get it, but it's out in a day-to-day.
I'm gonna refer to a point that me and Roz were talking about yesterday, but you mentioned the word sanctuary, Roz.
Yeah.
And sanctuaries can come in different forms, in different
absolutely
places. And people might see pilgrimage as a sanctuary, or their mosque as a sanctuary, or a place as a sanctuary. But it's pretty much sounds to me like Liverpool Football Club, Anfield specifically, that those 2 hours was your sanctuary. It was your place to go.
Not only that, even within religion, a lot of narrations say sleep for 8 hours, worship for 8 hours, earn your bread for 8 hours. Now, when they say worship for 8 hours, it doesn't mean sit on a prayer mat. Earning money for your family, spending time with your mum, spending time with your wife. This is all forms of worship. There's many different forms of worship, but even it breaks it down. So your sanctuary can't only be Kazmia or Karbala or the mosque. You've got to have many different things. And that includes spending time with your wife. That includes spending time with your mum and your kin and your family members and friends.
Sure.
Going to the mosque. And it includes curricular activity. We're human beings. Yeah. We have different needs and requirements. So for me, it was one of my sanctuaries, 100%, is to get out my horrible world. And, it saved me from a lot of bad things. I used to be part of a very nasty group of boys. 1986 FA Cup final. Friends got tickets. We've gone to the final. It was a big fight at night. I obviously didn't get back because we were celebrating because we beat Everton 3-2.
Crazy memory.
Yeah.
You must remember results.
Yeah, in Rush, and yeah, it was a brilliant game. We were it went to extra time, and so obviously, you know, we want to jump up and down. And back in the day, I know it doesn't mean now, FA Cup was massive. 80s FA Cup was like a European. It was massive, and obviously there was a big fight at night. 3 boys got stabbed, 4 boys got arrested. I went there. I was celebrating a game of football, winning the FA Cup, and it saved me. I would have definitely been there because it was in Streatham. It was my manor. It was my area. It was my boys. Had a fight with boys from Tulse Hill. You know, I would have definitely been involved, but I wasn't there to be involved. And football saved me from that. So I don't know how, in which way. It's quite weird. And it's funny because when I tell, for a kid now who looks at Mo Salah, Liverpool fan looks at Mo Salah, he's everything to him. Mo Salah's Mo Salah. He's top goal scorer. He's Mr. Liverpool. That was Ian Rush for me, right?
Okay.
Used to run after his car. Yeah. Rush used to sing songs about him. Rush was everything. You know, posters on the wall, Ian Rush, in every angle, every goal, everything. He's my close friend. So it's really weird.
Full circle.
It's funny because when we went to Monaco once, we went there for a charity thing. We were all staying there in one place, and we went to watch Liverpool versus Crystal Palace on television. It was, yeah. And like Rush sitting here, I was sitting there. My youngest one, Saj, kept looking at me. And afterwards I said, why were you looking at me? And he goes, Dad, your eyes were like buttons. I said, look, can you imagine sitting next to Mo Salah in 20 years watching a game of football? I said, that's what it meant to me. I was like, I know him really well, but to sit next to him and watch a game of football, and then for me to say, oh yeah, we need to bring on a number 6. It's not working. We need to go to number 6 and a double pivot. And him looking at it and go, man, do you know what? You're right. I was like, I could die right now. My hero just told me I'm right about a game of football, you know. This guy scored 346 goals.
It's any fan's dream, right? We analyse every game.
And then, in fact, we made the subs. And he goes, you're better than Klopp, Mamz. You already said it before. And I'm like, what is going on? I thought, I need to pinch myself. But yeah, these are life's experiences, right? You go through all these phases. So that was me growing up. We went through council housing. Obviously, I was very good at school, but my circumstances didn't allow me to get further education. Yeah. I'd got my, I'd done 3 A levels within the first year of my college, which means I could have probably got 5 or 6 if I really wanted to. But when my family circumstances, my mum and dad divorced, my dad had gone through a lot of hardship. My mum used to work, paid £60 a week, and I wasn't going to accept that. My mum's my world. So I said to myself, I've got to make a decision here. I've got to grow up. I've got to be a man. I cannot go to university, mess around in life, and let my mum work. Yeah, it's just not
going to happen.
But I always had the desire. I was brought up as an entrepreneur, right?
Of course.
So I thought I'll get a job, and then I'll move on in life and start a business. And,
sure.
So anyway, I had to leave
education,
and I, had to try and find a job. And then something came up in life, changed my life totally. It was out of the blue.
Okay.
Totally unexpected. My mum said to me, son, I want you to do something for me. And something I'll have to tell you about another time.
No.
Oh,
No.
That was my transition.
No. All right, we're going to have to do another episode. I need to hear this story.
My pleasure.
I'm not even going to wrap it up because we need to do more.
100%.
But thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing what you've shared so far. To those of you watching at home, we are definitely going to get to the end of that story. There's so much more. I'm sure you've been entertained. Liverpool Football Club is obviously very important to this man sitting next to me. The message I have is for those people that question your commitment to a football club and might say, is it fair to spend that much time and money? Is it rational to support 11 or 22 men running around on the pitch on their shorts and letting their results affect your happiness? Hopefully this has cleared that up a little bit, because clearly it's a lot more than that. It got you through a hard time in life. It integrated you into a society that was at the time very difficult to break into.
Yeah, 100%.
We're going to come back again. For those of you watching, please like, subscribe, comment, share the video. This has been the Morse Code.